Hi, my name is Grant, and today we'll be talking about loneliness, or the fear of it to be exact. So I believe everyone has this fear of loneliness because we as human beings are social creatures, but it's just that the way we experience it and conceptualize it might be different for every person. Everyone has different ideas of what being lonely means to them. A person can feel lonely when they don't see a person face to face, but someone else might be completely fine as long as they have someone to call or someone to text. While for others, a social situation may be invigorating, but to some other people, that might be extremely draining and they might feel the most alone in a group situation. The idea of loneliness differs from person to person, but ultimately the core feeling is shared. I used to think I was immune to loneliness. I was born an only child and I was an introvert. I preferred to use my imagination and play pretend instead of sharing toys of others. As I grew older, I preferred eating alone and watching YouTube instead of hanging out with friends, and I played tennis at an early age, which is an extremely individualized sport, which I found extremely therapeutic. When COVID-19 hit, I did not feel isolated at all. I got my fix of socializing through texting and calling, and I didn't mind not having face-to-face interaction. In fact, it gave me more time, and I was able to create my own music and videos, which is the only reason I'm here now, making videos for you guys. My entire journey in music began during COVID-19. I used to believe I thrived in being alone, like it was my optimal state. But then, by the end of the year, I crumble. It feels like the pressure of being alone really falls down on me. I think it's because most people go back home during Christmas and I never really had that luxury, so I just find myself stuck in school or stuck here as everyone else flies back to their home country or something. I think right now I haven't had a face-to-face interaction with a person for like 5 days, and that last person was my barber. And he did this to me, so I don't think that counts. But this lack of face-to-face interaction activated my fear of loneliness again, and for the first time, I'm not sure why. I remind myself of the COVID-19 days. Once I had to quarantine myself in a hotel for 7 days, and it was completely fine. I found it extremely enjoyable, and I actually thrived in it. By the end of the week, I actually had a video again, up and running. And I remember I didn't feel sad about being alone for a whole week, for a single second. And to a degree, I kind of missed that version of Grant. Someone who thrives in that kind of environment and a person that can make art out of nothing. But I'm starting to feel the foundation of my defense mechanism starting to crumble. I knew that logically speaking, my attitude towards loneliness had to be unhealthy. But it was so ingrained in me as a child that it was really hard to change. And the worst thing is that I largely benefited from this. I mean, this entire channel was created in response to being lonely. My process of making videos and music is an extremely solitary task. This year, I'm extremely thankful for everyone that has listened or watched any of my videos as This Is Grant. I started the modern version of This Is Grant exactly 1 year ago as a response to loneliness. And now we're approaching 5,000 subscribers. If you told me this even 2 months ago, I wouldn't even believe you. And to be honest, 99% of you guys came from the Spotify rap video, some of you guys come from the Bruno Mars video, or the KSI video. Yeah, okay. Side note, that run that I had is a god tier run. To be honest, I think we always romanticize the idea of being alone too much. We think that by being alone, we must always get something out of it. But the answer is not a hut in the woods. Just because one day you decide to throw away everything and go backpacking around the world, doesn't mean that you'll come back a wiser person. When I started abusing the being alone to create content strat, it hurt my mental health severely. Because I wrongly equated that loneliness equals creating something at the end. What if by the end of that 3 days of isolation, I don't have anything to show for it? Then does that mean I wasted 3 days of my life? It was one of those correlation does not equal causation things, but my process was so dependent on being alone, and the result was always making something that I was proud of. I was so committed to proving that being alone was the factor here. But by the end, the pressure of trying to come up with something interesting by the end of my period of isolation was just too strong, and it just broke my mental health. I think this is the equivalent as a kid where like you would shoot hoops and you say, if I don't make the shot, my mom dies. That's literally what I do, but instead I say, oh, I'm gonna isolate myself for 3 days, and if I don't make anything good by the end, that means I must have wasted my life. This also leads to my second point. We as humans, we like to detect patterns and stuff. I feel like we draw false correlations between ourselves and loneliness. We theorize why we feel alone. We would say something like, oh, I feel so alone right now because my friends and family hate me and they don't want to hang out with me. Or we'd say something like, oh, I feel so alone right now because my boyfriend or girlfriend isn't texting me because they don't care about me. Or I guess for me, I'd say, oh, I feel so lonely right now, so let me go do something to prove that my loneliness is not futile. I guess the reason why we make connections of being lonely is because we have so many negative connotations associated with it. So when we feel this negative emotion, we want to try our best to try to find a reason for it, to eliminate it completely. For me, it's the opposite. I gaslight myself to think that's a good thing. Whatever. But the truth probably lies in between. Being alone is not inherently good or bad. It's a completely neutral experience. Whenever we feel lonely, we should just sit with it and experience it in its true neutrality instead of trying to cure it like some sort of disease. There is no pattern to loneliness, and everyone feels it in unique and slightly different ways. All we could do is just sit with it and experience it and let it pass, as all things do. Now, I know people that are social demons and not in a good way, where the fear of loneliness consumes them so much that they have to socialize with a person face to face no matter what they do. Like they have to text them constantly, they have to call constantly, or they can't even go outside alone. I'll give you an example. So I used to live in a student accommodation in my university, and we had catered meals in the common area. So we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, I never understood the kind of flatmates that would wait for each other to have their meals because I got stuff to do. I got LP to lose on TFT. I eat my meals in 15 minutes and then I leave. There are 3 meals a day. I cannot spend my time waiting for others. But I think the stigma around eating alone in that common area was so strong that people refused to do that. So they would wait for people that they aren't really close with, just so they have someone to talk to. But that wastes a lot of time because that turns a 15-minute situation to like an hour-long social. Now, this is why you can't complete your coursework. The point I'm trying to make is that combating the fear of loneliness by trying to surround yourself with other people constantly is not a good idea. It's just as unhealthy. It's debilitating. It means your life is dictated by others. And I'm sorry, you're just insecure if you can't have a meal without someone else there. So my conclusion, I guess, is that the fear of loneliness is something that we all have, but strangely, it's not actually real. Loneliness as a concept is completely neutral, and we are supposed to sit with it and just notice it. We shouldn't expect anything from it. And yet here I am, 5 days into isolation and making a video, trying to prove that I can make something productive out of it. I never learn. I think the truth is, being lonely just sucks. Let's just take away all the analysis, let's ignore our theories on why we are alone, and let's take away the preconceived notion that being alone leads to good art, and just sit with the emotion for a second. Doesn't it suck? We can argue whether being alone is good or not, but we can't argue against our evolutionary tree. We are wired to be social creatures, and we will innately feel bad when we are alone. And that's all it is. It's up to us to decide whether it's good or bad, but really, it's not going to change anything. 2024 has been a big year of change for me. My first videos on this channel was about loneliness and moving on, and now we're here in a completely different time of our lives, I guess. If you are a dear friend of mine in real life, I'd like to thank you for watching my videos throughout the year. Even if we don't speak face to face often to each other, to me, watching this video is a form of connection, and to me that really means a lot, and I hope to visit you wherever you may be. And if you've discovered my channel recently, I'd like to thank you for making my life so much less lonely in 2024, whether it's through a view, a like, a comment. Any sort of connection means so much to me, and I'll hope that you guys can continue to join me on my journey in 2025. Alright.
I thought I was better off alone, till I saw a bluebird walking home, and it didn't feel so nice without you by my side. Thought I wouldn't mind the extra room, lying in a bed that's built for 2, but it didn't feel too right without you here by my side, acting such a sentimental fool. You could stop the snow from falling, you here. Nothing in the park but fallen leaves. I swear when I'm here with you, it's evergreen. Couldn't care for the lights without you here by my side, acting such a sentimental fool. You could stop the snow from falling on Christmas morning. True, I was blue till you came along, laughing with your nose red like a winter rose bed. Darling, my dear, this year, December's so much better with you here. It's Christmas Eve, come over. No time to be alone. It's Christmas Eve, come over. No time to be alone, 'cause you could stop the snow from falling on Christmas morning. True, I was blue till you came along, laughing with your nose red like a winter rose red. Darling, my dear, this year, December, so much better with you here. Alright. Should we do a second take? I don't know.